Hello friends, my name is Ramasu. Today we shall discuss about topic the inheritance concept in object-oriented programming or OOPS. Friend, inheritance is a very important concept in object-oriented programming, and you can say it is a fundamental concept in OOPS basically. Friend, the concept of inheritance is basically based on basically class concept. If you have a class concept, so you can easily understand that what does that mean actually. A class is basically you can say a template in which basically it based on two things: properties and the methods. Properties means attributes and the methods means functions which it can do. In an inheritance, basically what we do, like we inherit the properties and behavior of one class to another. That is normally called as parent-child relationship, or you can say base class and the derived class. The class which is basically parent, we call it as a superclass or base class, and the class which inherited the properties from the base class, it is called as subclass or the derived class. So basically the main purpose of inheritance is code reusability, extensibility, and creation of a hierarchical structure. For example, you have a class in which one method is defined. So once you derived a class from the base class, so you don't need to write the code again, because the source code or method is already defined in the base class. You just need to extend or inherited the child class from the base class, and you can use those methods or properties. So basically, very big advantage of inheritance is the code reusability and extensibility. Now let's deep dive into the concept of inheritance. First one is the base class, or which is normally called as superclass. Friend, base class basically has properties and behaviors are inherited. It's called the superclass or the base class. It serves as a template for one or more subclass. Here, like just give you an example, class animal. It has some properties and methods of animal class. For example, properties means like, for example, color, type, etc. Methods means the behavior. Okay, so this is the base class of animal. Then the derived class. Derived class means that it inherited from the animal class, and it is, this one is the base class and this one is the derived or the subclass. Normally this one is called a subclass or derived class. It can reuse the properties and behavior of this base class, and can also extend or override them as well. Override means that if there is one method defined in the base class, you can rewrite that method in the child class. This is the basically concept of override here. So animal is the base class, and the dog which is extended from the animal class, this is the derived class. Normally it is called as base class or superclass, and this one called as the derived class or the subclass. Now the syntax normally we used in the object-oriented programming in Java, C++, Python. Normally we use the keyword extend for the inherited class or inherits. Generally we use the extend. You can notice that here extend means that this class of dog is inherited from the animal class. Animal is the base class and this is the child class. Access modifiers are there, and access modifier means that inheritance often involve the use of access modifier to control the visibility of properties and methods in the superclass and the subclass. Common access modifier include public, protected, and private. So basically the concept of public means that public modifier means that it can be used from outside the class. You just need to make an object and you can use the methods and properties of the class. Protected means the only the child class or the base class can only use the properties and the methods. Private means only the base class can use within the class the methods and properties. Let me give you an example here. This is an example of a class car. It has a constructor in it, initializer, in which it takes input make, model, year. Okay, then protected attribute, this one self.mileage. This is the protected attribute. That means only the child class can access this attribute. Another attribute is the fuel level. Again, this is a private attribute, so that means it can only be accessed within the class. This is the public method start engine. So this method can accessible from outside the class as well. You have to create an object and you can call or you can use this object. Then protected method drive. So because it's a protected method, only the base class or only the child class can use this method. This is a private method, so that means only refuel method can only be accessed within the class. Okay, so this is a main concept of a public and private and protected. If you for example this is the, for example, this is a protected method. If any other class which is not a child class of the base class which will try to access this method, it will have to face an error. Okay, then there are three main types of inheritance: single inheritance, multiple inheritance, and multi-level inheritance. Single inheritance is basically same like parent-child relationship, in which a subclass can inherit properties and method from the base class. Multiple inheritance means the subclass can inherit from more than one superclass. Like there are more than one base classes are there. Many programming languages doesn't support this type of hierarchy because it introduce more complications in the programming. Then there are multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance means the class is inherited from the base class, and then the subclass, another class can be inherited from the subclass. Okay, so that means it will create a chain. So that is called as multi-level inheritance. Let me give you a very simple example of the single inheritance. For example, this is a class, base class of vehicle. Okay, it has a string brand, integer years. It has a constructor of vehicle which takes input brand and integer year. Okay, and then this, it has a method display info which will print the brand and year, system.out brand line, brand and year. So this is the base class. Then this is the derived class. So you can see class car is extends from the vehicle class. So this is the derived or subclass. It has an integer number of doors. Then it has a constructor public car which it brand, year, and number of doors, and super brand comma year. This and number of doors is number of doors. And then it has the additional method in the derived class, display info, system dot print line number of doors. So here you can notice that the display in car info exists here. Okay, and this is the derived or the subclass of this base class. Okay, this is the vehicle base class and this is the derived class. Now the class for testing is, there is another class main, in which what we do, public static void main, we are creating an instance of the car. This derived this means child class. Car is equal to my car, my car is equal to new car, Toyota 2022 4. So this method or constructor will be called from here when we create an object. So once we call the my car dot display info, okay, so see, we have created the object of the derived class, but we can call the method of this base class. See, my car dot display info, it will call the method of this base class. Actually we have created the object of the derived class, but still we can call the method which is defined of the base class because car is extended from the base class. Okay, then my car dot display car info will call this. So this is an example of the inheritance and code reusability as well. Another concept of method overriding. Basically, method overriding means that subclasses can provide a specific implementation of a method that is already defined in the base class. This is known as method overriding. It allows a subclass to customize or extend the behavior of the inherited method. Okay, let me give you an example here of again, this is an example of very good example of the method overriding. Take the same example of a base class. This is the vehicle. Okay, this has the constructor vehicle, and there is a method display info. Okay, this is a method of display info in the base class. Then there is a class or class car which is extended from the base class. Okay, it has a constructor of a car, and this display info is basically overridden here. See, this class is extended, and this is the subclass or derived class, this is the base class, and display info exists here and display info exists here. So this display info is the example of the overridden or overriding. Once you call car, we have created an object my car, okay, of the car class. Once you call my car dot display info, so which method will be called? Display this one or this one? It will call this one. Why? Because it is basically overriding here, or it is an example of the overridden method. However, it exists, display info exists in the derived class and in the base class as well. However, it will call this display info because it is overridden in the child class. So this is called an example of method overriding. Then super keyword. A super keyword is an often used to refer the superclass and its member from within the subclass. It is used to call the superclass constructor normally, or to access overridden methods or fields. Constructor chaining. Constructors of the superclass can be invoked by the constructors of the subclass using the super keyword, ensuring proper initialization of inherited properties. So let me give you a very simple example here. Inheritance is a powerful mechanism in object-oriented programming that promotes code reuse, facilitate code organization, and supports the creation of a well-structured hierarchical class hierarchy. It is essential for building flexible and maintainable software systems. So very simple example here of a shape. Okay, this is a class shape. It has two properties, width and height. It has a method display. Okay, then this rectangle is the extended or the subclass of this base class of a shape. It has integer method calculate area return width multiplied by height and then it has a overriding method display system dot I. Why it is overriding? Because see, display here exists and here exists as well. Once you create an object and call the display method, it will call the overridden method. It will not call the parent class method. So friend, this is a very good example of the inheritance. Hope you like this video. If you like it, please share it with your friends and colleagues, and thanks a lot for watching the video.